Hello and welcome to Main Street Matters by Heart on Main Street, the podcast that does what's fair to help you grow your business. I am your host, Patrick Kaiser, and after 2 weeks off, I am back. I hope you didn't miss me too incredibly much. I know I missed you. Last week, I was on vacation for the first time in 2 years, so it was very needed, very nice to get away from a little bit, not be behind my desk, not be out on the road, and actually get to relax and enjoy myself and my family for a little bit. I hope you all did as well over Labor Day weekend. Where I was, at least, it was very nice weather. So again, I hope you all had a wonderful Labor Day, a wonderful couple weeks off from hearing my voice. Today's episode is going to be an interview that I did with two members of the company called Faire. Faire.com is a wholesale website that allows retailers to go and find hundreds of thousands of different brands, millions of different products, and allow you to shop from your home. Faire has really erupted onto the scene. They first formed in 2017, slowly grew, and through 2020, through pandemic, they have really become such a large player in the wholesale scene. They have been able to grow themselves, grow the brands that are on there, to starting off really some smaller brands, helping get exposure for vendors and different brands, but now really there are major lines on Faire. Many other companies have tried to emulate this model in having a wholesale website for brands, for larger scales, and it's been difficult. Faire has really emerged as the leader of this and has grown to be doing millions and millions of dollars of business for their wholesale site. So a tremendous resource for independent retailers, something that allows you to go and explore, allows you to not necessarily have to attend shows, not have to work with a sales rep, but be able to find products on your own that can work for your store. Faire has a lot of great resources. They really, from a tech company background, are able to suggest products for you. So they're really focused on helping the independent retailer. This was the third part of our summer sourcing series, where we were introducing different ways for retailers to buy products. We talked about attending trade shows, which is a massive way of being able to go and explore showrooms and find different things. We also talked about working with your sales rep, and there's so many great benefits to having someone that intimately knows your business and knows your customer and knows what you're looking for. And then also is that liaison to the vendor side that knows about their shipping, about the products, about the quality, and what will work well for your store. The third part of this is really doing it on your own, is going through a wholesale marketplace like Faire and exploring their site. Faire offers great things like dating. They are also able to provide free shipping with certain vendors. You're able to get free returns on vendors that you're just first time buying with, that you're exploring with. So again, there's a ton of great benefits. They have a lot of resources that are backing Faire. So this was a really great conversation. I loved talking with Rachel Thomas as well as Victoria Osterman about the company, about their vision, about how they want to help independent retailers, and then how their vision can grow, what Faire is looking at doing in the future to ever change and grow their model and be more effective and more of a resource for the independent retailers. So, very excited to present this to you all, and I hope you all enjoy. Today, we are going to be exploring the online wholesale marketplace, Faire.com. So joining me today, I have two guests from Faire. So Rachel Thomas, who is Faire's Senior Retail Partnerships Sales Manager. Welcome, Rachel. Hi. And as well as Victoria Osterman, who is Faire's Retail Partnership Account Executive. So welcome, Victoria.
Thanks.
Yeah. So let's dive into today's topic. If you are not familiar with Faire, Faire was launched in 2017 and has quickly become the nation's largest and most successful online wholesale marketplace. It's allowing retailers to find and buy tens of thousands of different vendors, all from the comfort of your own home or your store or whatever you would like to shop. So, as I've said, I'm extremely excited to have you all on today. I think people have learned about Faire. They've known about Faire. There's word of mouth. There's a lot of advertising. But to learn more about the company, to learn more about your mission, to learn more about how you want to help out independent retailers grow their businesses, and really that you can help them find great products for their stores, I'm very, very excited. So with that, Rachel, Victoria, I will turn it over to you. And again, excited to learn and excited for you to share with our crowd today.
Perfect. Thanks, Patrick. And hi, everybody. We are generally at Faire big fans of the Zoom or Google Meets chat. And so I'm going to do my best to try to monitor any questions that potentially come in. But maybe, Patrick, if you feel like there's something that
Absolutely.
is particularly appropriate, let us know, and we're happy to stop and answer questions as we go. Thank you again so much for the introduction and also for having us in this series. We feel very lucky and excited to be here and to meet all of you. As Patrick mentioned, I'm Rachel. I help manage and lead our retailer partnership sales team at Faire, and we're here with Victoria too, who will also be presenting alongside of me. And I just actually am curious if we do test out a bit of the chat feature very quickly. I know based on the registration that we have a bit of a mix of retailers here or partners here who are familiar with Faire, and it seems like are already ordering on the platform. And I'm imagining also a bunch that this is very new to all of you, or maybe you've heard a little bit about us and you're curious and wanted to learn more. So if anybody here does want to pop in the chat that they're familiar with us or they don't know a lot, that is always very helpful context for us in potentially giving some more background where relevant. But as we said, feel free to chime in and ask any questions at any point. If we go to the next slide, please, Victoria, thank you. As Patrick mentioned, we are an online wholesale platform. And the main thing is that we are focused on figuring out a way to best simplify the wholesale process and how it works today and make it easier really for both brands of all stages of their business and retailers, both big and small, but of course independent, to be able to find each other and more efficiently, but equally as fun and excitingly manage what their businesses look like and basically grow together. So if we go to the next slide, we'll highlight a bit of what we'll talk about today. So specifically, it's always great to start with our Faire mission. So we'll talk about that. We'll get into what the value and the benefits of, thanks, Heather, we love Faire too. The value and benefits of buying on Faire are. And of course, we'll take any questions there. And then we'll, of course, talk about some future focus areas for us. There's a lot of opportunity for us to keep growing. We feel really passionate and we feel like we are best in class at what we do. But of course, there's always room for improvement, and there's things that we're not necessarily particularly great at right now, and so we'll go over what those are. We'd love your feedback there as well, and then we'll talk a bit about some product recommendations that we think could be a good fit for you all based on a little bit of what we know about your stores and can be a helpful starting place for getting you started in buying on Faire, and then what some of the next steps look like. And then, as Patrick mentioned, we'll keep the last 10 minutes or so to answer any questions, or if we feel like doing a bit of a live overview is helpful, we can do that as well.
So we did have a couple things coming in the chat. Just Darlene says she's new, has heard of Faire before, but has not ordered ... yet. Patty says that Faire has been an excellent resource. As you said, Heather says they love Faire. Julie says, I'm a new retailer and I've been using Faire a lot since I bought my store in April. So kind of yeah. And then I saw someone raise their hand. If you could type in the chat or type in the Q&A, if you had a question, we can answer that as we go. So
if I hop back into it, as we just introduce Faire more broadly, I think it's a really great place for us to start to talk about what our mission is at the company. Yes, we are a wholesale marketplace, but I think we really aim to be a lot more beyond that in terms of what we are trying to do for local economies, really. And so as you can see here, our mission is to empower brands and retailers to strengthen the unique character of local communities. And we think about that on both sides of our marketplace in terms of the brands that we're working with that we bring onto the platform, in addition to the retailers that we're working with. So they are supplying, and you all are supplying these amazing brands. And it's really these small businesses of all sizes, but also retail, we think specifically, that helps set towns apart and creates a lot of vibrancy and magic and uniqueness. And also is, of course, a huge factor in being able to drive the local economy, both in providing jobs and bringing dollars into towns. And so we really think that this is at the core of everything that we do. And so it's important to start here because, one, I think it's really important to note that I feel like our missions are very similar to Heart on Main. And so I think it's like great to start here and that there is synergy in the way that we think about supporting local retail. And then second, I think, is that this helps set the stage for how we think about supporting our customers and how we think about building and providing product features and working with brands and working with retailers to make sure that we are at the core focused on investing in the power of independent retail and communities. And so if we actually step to the next slide, Victoria will walk us through an example here. I think that we've leaned into recently that I think is a good exemplification of how Faire is invested in small businesses and small town partnerships.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, as Heart on Main says and states, small businesses is really the heart of local communities. And I think that's something Rachel touched on that Faire deeply believes as well. So we actually, a couple months ago, hosted our first kind of like boots on the ground activation in partnership with a wonderful local community. We partnered in Denver, Colorado with this great street. They're kind of, you can think of it as your sweet street with like retailers, cafes, restaurants. And we wanted to host something that, one, obviously a goal was to have a retailer summit. So we wanted to bring together all of these retailers who are utilizing Faire. We wanted to, one, foster a kind of space of collaboration and connection, but then also kind of connect them with local leaders to discuss what's on the forefront and what's coming in terms of retail in Denver, as well as bringing in some kind of experts on social media, things like that, just to, one, make sure it was educational, but then there was also space for connection. And then obviously there's many retailers in the room, you know that what's really important is like getting your community and customers engaged. So we wanted to make sure that this was like fruitful for the retailers who were partaking in the retailer summit. So that following Saturday, we hosted this really wonderful kind of shop crawl. You could think of it as 20 stores kind of lining this Tennyson Street partook in it, and we hosted giveaways and kind of participation prizes for consumers who came and participated to, get a discount potentially with a store or a free gift. And we Faire supplied like music, free drinks and food, and it caused like a really great stir in the town. It really surpassed what we were expecting. We had over 1,500 kind of buyers and customers come on. And I think it was really special because a lot of the stores ended up telling us it was as if it was like the holidays in the middle of May. So it was really awesome. I'll pass it. Oh, actually, I'll continue on. In terms of who we support, there's definitely a range. You understand there is a marketplace. And so as we have in the room, there's many established retailers we support, meaning these retailers could have one to multiple locations of a storefront. Anyone who is an online retailer, brick and mortar, there's really a lot of range there, as well as in terms of like verticals that they focus on. Next, something that's been really wonderful that has kind of really drummed up in the last year is we work with new retail businesses via our Open with Faire program. Essentially, the goal of this is to support recently opened or retailers who are anticipating opening in the next year. The Open with Faire program provides essentially larger terms to get started with. So our goal is to help inject some capital as you're kind of figuring out things as you're getting started, take a little bit of pressure off of your cash flow, and bring in some new inventory. And then, of course, brands, we support both established and emerging brands who are potentially like kind of finding their way in the wholesale space, or alternatively just looking to work with more independent retailers. In terms of brands, we're obviously focused more so on the retailer front today, but really we want Faire to be a really wonderful kind of wholesale tool for brands to make the most of. We want to help them streamline how they're handling financials, whether that's taking some of the risk out of the buying process, helping manage payouts. When we host markets, we want to help with discount matching and shipping support where we can, and then really just give kind of a well-rounded customer relationship management tool to make the most of the relationships that they are able to foster. I'll pass it back to Rachel.
Great, thanks, Victoria. Okay, I will walk us through or start to kick us off on some of the key benefits of shopping on Faire. And so we're back to the retailer focus here. The first one, just to kind of lay a bit of the expectation, if we go to the next slide, is a bit of an overview on Faire benefits more broadly. And so as we talked about, goal here is to connect brands and retailers and help both sides of our marketplace grow their businesses together. I think we really think about that at Faire in like 3 core buckets. And so the first is investment in value, which we'll talk about. Second is smarter discovery. And then the third is kind of around this like efficiency aspect of easy to use tools and integrations. I think on the first one, just quickly, is we want to really be, and we aim and strive to be, a destination for the best value of what retailers can find. And that's both in the quality and the product offering that we have, but also in the value and the way that they're able to find product, which brings us to the second one, which is smarter discovery. We know that it can be really tough for retailers to access great product or in a cost-effective way. So maybe that's, balancing multiple channels of working with reps or going to trade shows, needing to fill in inventory, think about your buying cadence over many months of the year. And so we want to figure out a way, or we're working to figure out the best process for creating a better discovery experience for our retailers, at least in how they're thinking about the e-com channel and finding products. And then last is easy to use tools and integrations, as we talked about. One example here is we've partnered with Shopify. And so that's a really easy way for retailers to be able to connect with Faire to sell through their inventory and get kind of triggers or alerts on products that they need to refresh. And so they can come back to Faire and figure out where to easily find this product and then how to fulfill their inventory more quickly. So if we go in depth on each of these, we'll go to the next slide. And so investment in value, to give a little bit more of the overview on like, okay, that's great. We hear you on the value, but what specifically are you doing, or what can you provide to our business that makes this relevant to us? I think it's mainly 2 things. One is we want to reduce the risk of any purchases that retailers are making. And then with that, we also want to reduce the cost in order to boost margins in store and boost profitability. And we think about that on a couple of different ways. So in that first bullet point, the first sub bullet is net 60 terms for all retailers. Victoria alluded to this earlier when we talked about the Open with Faire concept that we're giving to new retailers or retailers new to the landscape. And I think the biggest importance here is we know that not every retailer uses terms. Would love to hear from you guys in the chat if you are leveraging them, or if you're not typically, or if you find that other channels are offering them to you or are not. But the main idea here is that we know that it can take a little bit of time to order product, get it into the store, market it to your customers, and then sell through it. And so in offering these net 60 terms, the idea is that we want to basically enhance cash flow so that retailers are never missing out on a sale because you don't feel like you have open to buy or budget right now to purchase products. Instead, we confront you basically what is a credit line for you to purchase all of the inventory and then pay it back 60 days later after you've most likely started to sell through some of the product. The second is free returns on first orders with a brand. This touches on that discovery period idea a little bit. Yeah, and Patty will also talk about the insider program too, so I'll come back to that. The free returns on first orders with a brand, we understand that purchasing new products can be intimidating. It can also be a little bit scary if you're not sure that it's going to sell well in your store and you don't know that you want to take on that risk, or in realizing that you're purchasing product online, you're maybe not getting that touch and feel sensation that perhaps you do at a trade show. And so if you're concerned about bringing something in and not really knowing how it's going to sell in store, we recognize that, and we want to offer free returns for new brands that you're trying for the first time, so you can get a great sense of the product and the quality. If the items don't sell in store, or if you feel like, you know what, this actually isn't exactly what I envisioned, or the quality isn't exactly what I thought, you can send it back and Faire will cover the cost of the product for you so that doesn't have to hit your margins at all. And then the other thing that's also interesting is low minimums. So I think it's roughly 80% of the brands or products that we have on the platform require a $200 or less opening order requirement. And I think that's great to know, because that paired with the net 60 terms is really helpful in making sure that, one, you can continue to differentiate the product that you're selling in your store and that's on your shelves without needing to make a very big upfront investment for thousands of dollars to buy into a particular brand or product. And so you're able to keep inventory fresh, keep customers coming back without necessarily that risk of being stuck with inventory that you can't sell through at the end of the season and is now outdated and is a markdown risk. The second piece is the reduce costs and boost margins piece here. And so Patty, this is part of like the insider program that you were talking about. And so we offer what is similar to like a subscription program that is accessible to you to turn on or off at various periods that you find it to be useful. It's $19.99 a month. And our goal there is, we actually just did a big rally around getting brands invested in this process to also increase their exposure and their sales as well, is to offer, similar to what a Prime membership or another subscription fee that you can imagine, gives retailers better coverage to purchase from brands that are offering free shipping and that we help subsidize the cost of, so that you know that you can purchase tons of products that's relevant for your store, inventory that's relevant for your store, and it's all covered within this $19.99 a month umbrella for shipping costs, and you're not charged additional shipping fees on top of that. We do offer a 30-day free trial for people who have just recently signed up, and so that's definitely a great way to take advantage of some of that like margin boosting element, I would say. And then the last thing here, and there's many more, but I think this is one of the last like very impactful margin boosters, let's say, is we do biannual online markets, which we call Faire Summer Market and Faire Winter Market. And it's an opportunity really for brands to offer various discounts or to sell through new product or exclusive product with our Faire retailers. And Faire also helps them to create the best shipping and offer incentives, basically. So we partner with a lot of our brands to be able to do this, up to 30% off of the cost of wholesale, so that if these align to your, let's call it January, February, July, end of June sort of buying periods, this can be a great place and time for you to invest in some more of the product.
A question just came in from Bink. How do you know if you are going to get insider free shipping or not when previewing vendors? Is there a way to see that?
Yeah, there actually is. We'll touch on this a little bit later in terms of some badges and filters that come up. I'll show a little image of what the badge looks like, but it will be, it should be like flagged on either the product or the brand tile.
And then Heather, we'll get back to you on the dates of the Faire markets. We just had our last one. I want to say it was at the end of July or like around like the 20th of July. And then the next one that we typically do is in Q1. So I want to say it's end of January. Some years the dates don't exactly line up, but that's when the next one will be. That being said, though, there are lots of ways, as Victoria will touch on in some upcoming slides, for you to filter for products where brands are offering discounts, or they're offering volume-based discounts, or they're offering free shipping as well. So even though the next online market isn't necessarily for roughly 6 months, there's still definitely opportunities to maximize what some of those discounts can look like on our marketplace overall.
This is wonderful. Okay. One of the comments earlier on was, love the low minimums. They allow them to try products before going all in. So people are getting a lot of benefit and a lot of advantage from these.
Love that. All right, Victoria, I'll let you take it from here.
Amazing. So we'll just kind of do a little bit of an overview on kind of how the smarter discovery works and how Faire kind of plays a role in that. And then we'll kind of go a little bit more into the meat and potatoes, you can say, of like how to really explore and kind of some helpful tips and tricks that honestly a lot of retailers from when we hosted the retailer summit in Denver shared with me, things that these were retailers who have been on Faire for a long time and maybe just weren't aware that you guys have so many things going on every day. So we don't expect Faire to be the forefront of your brain at all times. So our goal is to help highlight these little things. But so off the bat, some things that are we hear from our retailers that really just serve as a benefit is just like the general access to Faire. It's a sense that you have access to it whenever works for you. And also you can source brands from whether you'd like to focus on hyperlocal or alternatively like global brands, you can kind of find it all in one place. So there's just a lot of access, and that paired with the convenience of, I'm sure you are very, very busy in your day to day. You always have a million fires to put out. So you can kind of, I think I hear from retailers sometimes that they love to come home from a long day, open a bottle of wine, have a little glass of wine on the couch, and, open their Faire app and scroll. So that layer of convenience is also paired in there. I would say next, in terms of like the personalized shopping experience, just something that's good to know is the more that you interact with Faire and the more you engage with it, the better it's just going to get to know you. Really, our goal is to help you differentiate your storefront and your product offerings. And every Faire retailer, the experience is customized to you. So as you begin like saving more products, adding to cart, purchasing, as well as like even returning, kind of our algorithm will get to know what your tastes are and help surface like data-driven recommendations of items that'll have that kind of like high sell-through and be popular. Well, what we expect to be popular with you, but then also kind of that data behind it that other retailers, it's resonated with them and their customers, and they're coming back to buy more. And then kind of on this easy filtering and badging, I'll dive into this a little bit more as we kind of move through the presentation, but really our goal here is just that you can make the experience as tailored to your taste as possible. So kind of whether you want to focus on products that are eco-friendly or organic or not on Amazon, we want to give you the opportunity to kind of play around with that. And so there's various surfaces across the platform to enable that. So let's move on to staying on trend. I think something that is really helpful in terms of Faire is there's different surfaces across the platform where you can just kind of see items that are trending. We never want you to miss out on trends. So I think something that was particularly special is on this rise over the summer of like Taylor Swift, for instance. You could see that she was all over Faire. There were so many products that were like promoting the Eras Tour, all of that great thing. So this is specifically in the search bar. You'll kind of see this like real-time trending search terms that this is being kind of fed through here from other retailers. So you can kind of get a pulse on what's important to other retailers, what they're looking for, what brands may be popping up. And this changes, I'd say like on a daily basis, but really it's just dependent on kind of what's keeping a pulse on what's going on out there. Next, something that I learned about that not that many folks are kind of going to the blog or the Learning Hub, but I do think it's something that's really special. It's a great way that kind of our marketing and research team will pull together kind of information on trends, buying patterns, kind of like anything on the macro level, and kind of make it really nice and like easy and digestible. That paired with we'll also kind of host interviews with other business owners and retailers to share best kind of learnings and whatnot. So that's also a really wonderful place to find some more information. Another place to kind of find more of these like custom collections, trends, featured collections is up on the kind of top category navigation bar. You can see right here where it says featured. This is kind of a constantly rotating seasonal hub, you could think of it as. So whether I recently saw that like game day is trending as we emerge into football season. So you can find kind of curated brands and products that align with these trending, whether the season is upcoming or it's just something that's like hot in the moment. We want to make sure that you can like capitalize that on that and bring the most like relevant products into your retailers, your customers. And then there's also just other places along here that you can kind of filter for brand values that are important to you. So we just want to make sure that you're able to kind of focus on what's the most important to you and whether you want to like be inspired and kind of just see what's out there or exclusively shop by these values. That's all opportunities for you to make the most of. Back to the comment earlier about, or rather question earlier about where you can kind of see these badges. So when you are searching for a product or kind of falling into one of these hubs or collections that's been created, there will be these little kind of badges, I'd like to say, on the tops of either the product or the brand page. And so this is just like a little kind of key of like what they mean, but it should be very clear when you're kind of looking at a token that you'll see this like little key, for instance, or this little Topshop badge, and that should indicate that one, for instance, for Topshop, that just means that's a brand who has essentially achieved Topshop status. That means like a lot of various retailers have ordered from them. They return to like messages in a timely manner. They like really work well with their customers through Faire, so they're very like engaged and have that high sell-through. And then for Insider, that'll just show brands that are participating in the Insider program.
And then Victoria, we just got a thanks for your question, Heather. The bestseller badges we have are added. There's brand bestseller, and then there's also the Topshop. Brand bestseller, I believe, is added by the brand versus by Faire. I can come back and confirm this and share the information with Patrick. But is that accurate?
Yeah, I believe brand bestseller is potentially layered on from
by the brand. And the goal there too is just to, because we've heard feedback from both brands and retailers, which makes sense for your question, as to how do we know like what is selling really well across the marketplace that can help guide some of our like intuition around what to buy or like de-risk some of our purchasing. But then oppositely is when we're looking at a particular brand's page is how can the brand have some control and feel empowered to say like, this is something that works really well for us and our customers really love this product. And so we wanted to be able to surface that on a couple of different dimensions. Featured brands are so I'm going to take a stab at your question here. I feel like maybe the question behind the question is like, how can I think about what we're seeing on a brand page? The Topshop and Insider are, and bestsellers are designated by, for example, either sell-through or offering the Insider free shipping. And similarly on Topshop, as Victoria mentioned, is there's like a particular sell-through rate and a response time, and great customer ratings is what kind of like denotes a brand being in this Topshop category. But then as far as what you would see when you go on to Faire, as Victoria was mentioning before, in this like discovery element, is that featured brands for you should be and most likely are different than featured brands for Heather or for Bink based on their buying processes and history. And so the idea there is that similar to maybe other selections, if you think about like a Netflix, for example, which is helpful, kind of like a helpful framework for us, is we want to be able to surface things to you that are probably like most relevant to you based on what you've purchased. And so the way that we think about what brands pop up on a certain page should be very like customized and curated to who is shopping. But otherwise the badges here have a little bit more of a like strict definition that's specific to the brand. Yeah, no problem. Keep the questions coming.
Amazing. And then we'll just tie it out with just some kind of like low lift additional tips and tricks. Rachel touched on this earlier, but I think the integrations that we have is something that a lot of retailers find really helpful. I know I've worked with many retailers who say data entry is the least favorite part of their day. So we wanted to make that as easy as possible to just click a button, have everything track over, and you still have full control over like what you want to be displayed on your website versus in store, whatever that mix-up may look like for you. Just we wanted to kind of integrate that whole process a little bit more. Next is just the ability to add multiple buyers and team members to your account. The goal behind this is, one, maybe you have buyers who kind of like focus on different aspects of the store. One person focuses in apparel versus food or shoes, whatever it may be. But you all kind of want to have a little bit of a view of what's going on, what they're adding to cart. I also see that a lot of retailers will add junior kind of like store members or buyers who potentially they want to eventually get into a buying role, but maybe don't necessarily want them buying yet. You can actually control the toggle on kind of the ability to check out and whatnot. So it can just allow for a little bit more like responsibility and collaboration within the store, which I've heard works really well. And then additionally, we just have our customer support team is like really, really wonderful. They can help with really anything under the sun. And so we're very glad to partner with them. And then also you're able to easily message brands within the portal. So that's just something, if you ever have questions about stock or customizations, anything along that line, that can all take place there.
And then Tammy, I saw your question. I just replied. The short answer is on Lightspeed. Yeah. I had a sneaky suspicion that you were going to say Lightspeed. It is actually one that we hear pretty consistently from retailers, and in the time that we've had a retailer partnership team here at Faire. The short answer is that we're always looking to truly like optimize the way that retailers are doing business. And so yes, we're always very open to feedback and then suggestions or recommendations on what you would be looking for. Lightspeed is something that we have continuously heard about, and we've filtered back to our product team. Of course, building out these integrations can be pretty complex, and so we're just figuring out the right timing and what the best next option is for us to best support our retailers. So I'm going to take this back. If anybody else wants to drop into the chat what POS they use, if it's not Square or Shopify, whether it's Lightspeed or it's something else that's custom, it's very helpful for us to know. So please feel free to add into the chat here too, and we'll make note of it and give the feedback back to our product team too.
Amazing. And we'll just kind of close out with just some kind of general like brand product recommendations. I just wanted to bring across the screen. We obviously have businesses and retailers who are kind of in a vast group of different store focuses on the meeting. So I just wanted to highlight these are some brands that really are popular amongst a lot of our retailers. This could be anywhere from like home and garden to food and pet, but just wanted to highlight some here. On the next slide, we actually created some kind of like more curated collection. So I'm happy to share this out after, of course. These were essentially like kind of hand built that these are brands that we know are really wonderful. They have great reviews. Here, just on the screen, I pulled in like a home and kind of garden collection, but if there's any other collections that you would like to see, please feel free to like add that into the chat, and I'll be sure to follow up and pull that all into an email to follow up with you all.
One other question, Victoria, I think you're the expert here, that Josh had just noted that I was about to respond to in the chat, is the ability for retailers to search for products that, it sounds like, Josh, you're looking for something that is either like customizable or like white label. Mm-hmm. And so can you remind us on like the process for being able to find those brands on Faire?
Totally. So typically when I'm working with a retailer and say they're based in like Ketchum, Idaho, and they'd like specific Ketchum merch, I'd typically back into it by like starting and searching with the city that you're interested in. And then typically from that, we can actually, our data, like pull into what brands can customize and like are probably, say you want to find like outdoor stickers that are based on this city, kind of like the most as granular as you can get in the search. I would say helps me like as a guiding light to find the most like tailored products. And then from there, brands typically make it very clear if they can customize. So I'd say when I'm like looking for a sticker like that, once you find something that you like, you can kind of click into the product tile, and there will be a little kind of fill in the blank bar where you can add in whatever detail you'd like to see in that specific item. So not necessarily all brands are able to customize products, but I will say if you're kind of in that space of you're looking for like anything along that realm of that customizable space, it'll come up. Oh, and do you have any collections? We do have some store decor.
Julie, when you ask about the store decor, is it more to your point on like the hardware of displays, or are you thinking more about and like shelving and things like that, or is it more, am I on the right track? Shelving, or more like product that you're looking to sell? Yes. Okay. Product or more. I'm taking the thumbs up as a. It's more architecture shelving racks. Yeah. That can be sold. I think that we probably have a small amount of those. I don't think right now, from what I've learned, it hasn't been the a big really like form of demand for retailers and like reselling the actual like architecture within a store. So while I'm sure that we have a couple of brands or some items like that on the platform, I don't think that they're necessarily very numerous. But there you go. What I can say though is on the collections piece, if anybody is curious about this too, as Victoria mentioned, is that we do also have clusters of collections relative to various holidays or shopping needs. So like the kitchen, gifts, etc. If you're looking for more curated items like that. But it seems like Laura answered the question better than I did. So hopefully that helps you guys, helps you, Julie.
Amazing. We just have a couple more slides. So I will just quickly wanted to honestly spotlight a really wonderful both retailer and vendor on Faire. This was actually a store that partook in our Indie Retail Fest in Denver. I think it was just a really awesome, well, for starters, their store is just absolutely stunning. And I think it is really like emblematic of how it's every store kind of like embodies these values in a different way, even though I think the piece on like shopping local, even though it doesn't necessarily have to come from Denver specifically, it's just all about a feel. And I think that's what I admire so much about many of the retailers that I work with. The way that they're able to like utilize Faire and create these like wonderful storefronts, just so special. And it was really wonderful to meet these two store owners, and they actually own a really wonderful company called Flower Co. These are some of their products up in the corner here, and they've been able to build so many great new retailer relationships. So just wanted to highlight them as a really awesome brand. I will pass it over to Rachel for a little bit on like the future focus of Faire.
Yes, and we can go to the next slide. I'll wrap it up here as I promised and is expected. We are not perfect, and we are always striving to be best in class. And of course, want to hear feedback from all of you. As I mentioned, the chats and the questions and everything that you all have been providing thus far has been really helpful. A couple of things that we continue to focus on always and strive to better are on the discovery front is figuring out a better like collections experience. We are continuously updating what the product visuals look like, how we can surface the best products based on retailer spend and interest and geography. So that will continue, I think, to be something for us that we're always focused on. And please give feedback as you are able to find or not find certain things that you're looking for. On the investment in value front, as we talked about, we're looking to continue expanding our coverage of insider. We really want to be the marketplace with the best value, where we know retailers can sign on and see a plethora of options for free shipping. This is probably, and you all can maybe testify to this or let me know if I'm totally off base, but so much of what we hear from our retailers is that the cost of shipping, especially in a world now where as a consumer, consumers expect to get products shipped for free, and therefore that is something that is coming out of your margin when you're selling to the end consumer, is that you also want to make sure that when you're purchasing product, the cost for shipping is not eating out at the like profitability margin that you have. And so that insider coverage, as we talked about, the ability to give free shipping on up to ideally 80% of the brands that are on our marketplace, is something that we're continuing to strive and focus on. And then terms as well. So as we talked about payment terms, we're looking for ways to consistently increase the ability for you all to have higher access to those net 60 terms. It's pretty common that when you first join the marketplace, since we don't have a ton of data necessarily around your buying habits, or that you've been, of course, paying any invoices that are coming through, that will start you off with a minimal terms request of somewhere in the realm of like $3,000, let's say, for net 60 terms. But we know that in a lot of cases, that is a very small amount of the consistent inventory that you need to bring into store. And so we have a lot of ways now where you can connect with Plaid, or you can send banking statements, for example, and we will increase what your net 60 terms limit is. We've gone up to, $20,000 for our open with Faire, and then all the way up to $100,000 for other retailers that have multiple locations. I will caveat that I cannot promise that, of course, to every retailer, but the point is that depending on what your sell-through looks like, depending on where you're located, We of course want to be able to make sure, and based on your budget, that we can get you the terms that you need so that we can always be the source for wholesale buying for you, and that you're not limited by your capital cash flow. And then the third piece is the easy to use tools. So improvement for UPCs. I know somebody had just put this in the chat, and I can't remember if I responded already or if not, but I will respond now, which is that we hear you on the UPC piece. We've given brands now the access to be able to input UPC information. Our next step goal is that we want to give retailers the ability to be able to filter by brands who offer UPC information. And so if getting UPCs or having UPCs is a non-negotiable for you and purchasing certain products, we want to give you the access and the visibility to understanding who are the brands that offer products with UPCs, how can I find them most easily, and like where can I find this information on the like product level or the brand level. The same thing with POs. We know that purchase orders are an easy way for a lot of retailers, depending on what your system looks like, to be able to deduplicate work so that you're not entering any orders into your system and then also entering them through like the Faire ecosystem. And so we're figuring out the best ways to support retailers on that front too. It's a big focus for us, but again, it takes a little while for us to collaborate and figure out the best path forward that touches on all retailers' needs. And then also the ability to break down shipments based on multiple locations. So for anybody here who has more than one location that could be in a different town or even potentially a different state, we know that it can be a pain point to figure out how to allocate those products and more easily order based on what you need per store location. And so that's something that we are working on too. Can you recommend an area for new vendors to get the basics of the portal? We may have 5 minutes for Victoria to do like a little bit of a run through, but Maria, we're happy to share some of the resources that we have on like our blog and even like videos that we've created from a retailer partnerships team to give you a quick sense of where you can find certain things and how you can find the product. So we're happy to, again, Patrick, we'll share these with you so that we can send them out to the group here. And then the shipping price is set by the wholesaler, but it is dependent on how, like what carrier they're using to ship their product. And so Faire keeps tabs on what all the costs are, and we make sure that nobody is inflating or increasing prices. We want to make sure that that we like the best actors on the platform. But of course, we trust the brands to understand based on like the weight that they enter and the number of products. Faire gives an estimate, and then it's up to the brand to ultimately confirm what the overall cost is of the product. Tax ID, Josh, good question. I don't know the answer to that, so let me get back to you. I think it's no, but I don't want to lead you down the wrong path, so let me confirm that and get back to you with answers.
Amazing. Just to wrap it out, just wanted to give a quick overview. Signing up is really easy. If you haven't signed up yet, feel free to let us know afterwards. I'm happy to help, but really if you just log into Faire, it takes like about 5 to 10 minutes. You can kind of just set more information about what you're interested in, what your store type is, all of that kind of general information. And then from there, you'll have access to the marketplace. And then once you kind of become more familiar and begin placing orders, then we're able to kind of from there, based on the information you provide, you'll kind of get an overview of terms that are available, if you can easily apply for more terms, if whatever your needs are. And so, yeah, we're really excited that we were able to connect with you all today. We have some time for questions. People are more than welcome to add them into the chat or come off mute.
So we had a couple, we've gotten to a lot of the questions. You guys were amazing at getting to them as we were going. There was one that came up about, are there any special terms for nonprofits or companies such as a hospital? Is there any special terms or things for an organization like that?
That's something I'll have to get back to you on. Right now, I don't know that we provide anything additional beyond like the net 60 terms that are relevant for all retailers, but there could be other benefits just like more generally to working with Faire as a nonprofit or like as a hospital organization. So Josh, I may follow back up with you on like the tax thing. And then Patrick, we can maybe connect about some of the specific questions that we've gotten and come up with a response for everybody by end of week or early next week around that in particular.
And then there was one in the Q&A of do sales reps get commission from sales through Faire? From my experience, I know that kind of depends on company. Some companies they do, some companies they don't, from where the employer of the sales rep. So I don't know if you all have any other insight into that. I've heard of some that do, some that don't. So
I don't have the silver bullet answer here. I think to your point, Patrick, I think it really does depend on the company and the brand. What we've experienced, if this is helpful, is that we have some brands who believe in their reps owning a particular territory, and so they do not sell product on Faire within the territories, meaning if somebody works in the Miami area, for example, they will not sell product through Faire for Florida, let's say, so that retailers are not able to purchase product if they want to protect the rep's territory. Other brands take a different approach. It really depends on case by case basis. We are, though, wanting to figure out ways to better partner with reps so that brands aren't necessarily having to pay commission on two fronts. And so we're trying to figure out the better tools to be able to incentivize reps and give them access to Faire in a way that also benefits their personal business at a particular brand. And so it's something on our mind, but we haven't necessarily figured out the best solution yet, given it's like on such a brand by brand basis.
Yeah, there definitely are brands though who will share out, who have their reps who are enabled with like a Faire link essentially. So if for whatever reason, maybe say a retailer is doing a lot of purchasing through Faire and kind of wants to streamline that next order, but they have a really wonderful relationship with that rep, they can still utilize that link to then allocate credit to the rep and have that order come in as a Faire direct relationship. Meaning Faire isn't taking commission on that, rather they can reallocate that on their end. But it is essentially, brand by brand.
And then on brand products, Heather, to your question here, also Patrick, stop me. I'm rolling through the chat.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
But if there's anything, please like hop in and cut me off at any time. Heather, your point on brands only show some of their products on Faire and not necessarily their full line. How common is this overall? Being on the retailer side versus our brand partnership side, I also don't have the specific answer for this. This is a theme, as I will tell you. I have some pretty good intuition, but I can't tell you the specific stats necessarily because I don't know them. But the idea here is that for a lot of our brands, what we strive to do, again, as being the wholesale marketplace that is the best value and best access, is that we try to coach all of our brands around bringing not only like when they join the platform, joining with the like best intention of providing all of their products and like across the US or to other points of distribution, whether that's Canada and Europe as well, but is also to include their full catalog. So we call it catalog completeness. And the reason for that is that we want retailers to be able to benefit from having all of the access to terms and the streamlined opportunities for managing like the admin processes that they have and not have to go back and forth on certain channels with buying 50% of their typical product assortment from a brand like, I don't know, Toy Smith, let's say, and then needing to go direct to the brand to buy the remaining 50%. So we really do try to coach brands around that. I think sometimes what this comes down to is you'll have brands that run specific exclusivity agreements or they sell product or exclusive products at certain venues, whether that's with their trade shows or with their reps. Or at times it can be like a margin complication too, where we have brands that know that they may also be, of course, taking commission from, or like a commission will be taken from Faire, and they want to make sure that it puts them in a good place for their business too. So all that to be said is, yes, that does happen sometimes, but we mainly aim to make sure that we're coaching brands around giving retailers the best experience and the most comprehensive catalog possible.
Another question that came in from Heather: if a sales rep emails a market special that's running, does that automatically show up in Faire? My guess would be no, but that would have to be something that be entered in.
Yeah, I think, Patrick, it sounds like the question was like, if they're offering a special elsewhere, or if they mark down their product on their own page, would it translate onto Faire? Am I thinking about that right?
Or if there's a special going on like at market, does that translate to Faire? I'm probably
Oh,
a vendor by vendor instance, but
yeah, if it's at market, meaning like a trade show, and they're offering a trade show special, not at like Faire Summer Market or Faire Winter Market, like not our trade shows, but trade shows outside of the Faire ecosystem, we won't necessarily like see those prices. Again, this is similar to some of the like catalog completeness piece, which is that in an ideal world, we're able to give brands the easiest way to have dynamic pricing where they feel like they need to, so that we're always at pricing parity, which is really important. As I was mentioning, we want retailers to know that you're getting the best price through Faire as you would if you were purchasing through a different channel. But we don't have like an automatic feature such that if a brand were to offer a Atlanta market discount or something, that it would necessarily translate over to Faire if they're not manually like updating that.
I think
process.
unless they are kind of promoting with their QR code at the market to kind of streamline their wholesale kind of ordering process, it's like scan this QR code and like essentially pass
Okay.
through the market discounts, then I believe so. But say you're in California and a market's going on in Atlanta, I don't think it would necessarily show in that sense.
Well, wonderful. Thank you all so much. If you do have other questions, I'm going to follow up with an email to everybody today. If you have other questions, send them my way. We will get them out and we'll get answers. We will also follow up with some of the information here that we talked about that we're going to find answers for, as well as this presentation. So thank you all. Victoria, Rachel, thank you so much for being on today. I learned a whole lot. I'm sure a lot of our retailers learned a whole lot as well. So thank you. For our next webinar, which you can register for through heartonmainstreet.org, it will be about visual merchandising for the holidays. So believe it or not, that they are already coming up. I know some of you already have Halloween themed items in your store. So talking about how to merchandise those and really how to stand out. So thank you all and have a great rest of your day. Take care. Again, that was Rachel Thomas and Victoria Osterman of Faire.com. Faire is really an amazing resource for retailers. I strongly encourage that you check it out and see what benefit it can provide for you. I hope you've enjoyed this episode as much as I've enjoyed bringing it to you. For more information about Heart on Main Street or to register for any of our upcoming webinars, you can go to www.heartonmainstreet.org. Thank you so much. Stay safe, shop small, and have a great week. This episode is written, produced, researched, and edited by me, Patrick Kaiser, with a special thanks to Rachel Thomas and Victoria Osterman of Faire.com. Thank you for listening and your support.